Have you ever looked at someone incredibly successful and just wondered, how did they do it? Why does some people seem to build these huge fortunes while others, who are just as smart, just as talented, seem to get stuck? Well, the secret isn't really in their bank accounts. It's in their brains. Today, we are diving deep into that hidden mind game behind wealth. We're going to explore how our thoughts, not our circumstances, are the ones writing our financial story. And this quote right here, it really sets the stage for everything. It's this powerful idea that wealth and poverty, they aren't just these fixed destinations. Nope, they are the results of tiny, repeated patterns. It's about the thoughts we keep depositing in our minds and the habits we practice day in and day out. So let's make this personal for a second. This question, it gets right to the heart of it all, doesn't it? Because before we can ever change our finances, we have to kind of audit our own thinking. The real game of wealth is played and won right inside the invisible workshop of our minds. Okay, let's jump into our first section here. The main idea is that your financial life is basically just a mirror. It's reflecting back at you the internal programming you've been running for years. Those beliefs about money you picked up along the way, well, they're the invisible architects that are secretly building or, maybe destroying your wealth, a lot of times without you even noticing. I absolutely love this metaphor. Think about it. Your mind is your real bank. Every single time you think, I can't afford that, you're making a negative deposit. But when you flip it and think, okay, how can I afford that? Boom, that's a positive deposit. And over time, just like money, these thoughts compound. They either create this fortune of new possibilities or a crippling debt of limitations. So how do we start making more of those positive deposits? Well, it really starts by adopting these 3 core beliefs. See, wealthy mindsets, they see themselves as the cause of their life's outcomes, not just a victim of random luck. They focus their energy on solving problems and creating value for others, knowing that money is just the natural byproduct of that. And maybe most importantly, they see a world of abundance, believing there's more than enough to go around for anyone who's willing to grow and create. All right, now let's flip the coin. If rich thinking builds wealth, then poor habits, well, they forge what's known as the poverty loop. And this isn't just about making a few bad decisions. It's a whole vicious cycle of unconscious behaviors that literally traps people in financial struggle. And here's the crazy part. This loop often feels like you're just trying to survive, making the very habits that keep you broke feel totally necessary and even safe. This quote just nails the engine that drives that loop, survival thinking. The focus is all on short-term comfort, on instant gratification. Let me just get through the week. Let's enjoy the money now. This mindset constantly trades long-term stability for a little bit of pleasure right now. And that's what keeps the whole cycle spinning. And here's how this loop runs on autopilot. It's a simple habit equation. First, there's a trigger. Maybe you're feeling stressed or bored. That leads to a routine, like scrolling and impulse buying online, which then gives you a reward, that little hit of temporary relief. The secret to breaking the loop isn't about fighting the habit with willpower. It's about hijacking the equation and swapping out that destructive routine with one that actually serves your future self. And that brings us to the real turning point here. Escaping that poverty loop, it requires a conscious power shift. It's about moving from that reactive, short-term survival mode to a proactive, long-term strategic way of thinking. This is the moment you stop just reacting to life and you start actually designing it. This slide lays out the difference perfectly, doesn't it? Survival thinking is all about let's just get by. It's constantly reacting to whatever life throws at you, and it's almost always fueled by fear and urgency. Strategic thinking, on the other hand, is about let's build beyond today. It's about intentionally designing your life, and it's fueled by a clear purpose and a long-term vision. See, one keeps you busy, but the other makes you truly productive. Which leads us to this, a really critical question you have to ask yourself. Are you just a passenger, kind of drifting along and letting your circumstances dictate your financial journey? Or are you grabbing the controls, becoming the architect who draws the blueprint and actually builds your own future? Just making that choice, that's your first strategic move. Okay, so if we choose to be the architect, how do we actually do it? This next part is all about the practical tools, the nuts and bolts for rewiring your mind. Think of it like we're going to install the mental software that wealthy thinkers use to automatically respond to challenges with growth instead of with fear. So here they are, 5 of the most powerful triggers you can install. Instead of seeing a problem and just stopping, a rich thinker gets curious. What can I learn here? Instead of placing blame, they take ownership. It's on me to find a solution. They are obsessed with adding value. They reframe every failure as a lesson, not a loss. And they always keep their eyes on that long-term vision. The best part? These aren't personality traits you're born with. They are trainable mental habits. And this all really boils down to one central idea. The economy, the stock market, what other people do, all those things are outside of your control. But your response, your interpretation of events, your very next move, that is always 100% within your power. Mastering what happens inside you, that is the ultimate form of control. All right, let's elevate the conversation for a minute. Because rich thinking isn't just a strategy to pile up more cash. Honestly, that's just a side effect. The true goal here is to build a legacy, to move from a life that's just about survival to a life of real significance. This is how we should really be defining wealth. It's not a number in an account. True wealth is this holistic state of being. It's the right mindset, creating constructive habits, all driven by a compelling purpose. Because, let's face it, without a purpose, money is just paper. But with a purpose, it becomes a powerful tool for making a real impact. And we're going to end on this final, powerful thought. Survival, that's an instinct. But design, that is a choice. You have the power to be the architect of your own mind, your habits, and ultimately, your destiny. The greatest fortune you can ever build isn't what ends up in your bank account, but the incredible blueprint you design within.